Hi! Today I want to talk about Salai. Salai was Leonardo's longtime companion and probable lover. Let's start at the beginning. Gian Giacomo Caprotti da Oreno moved in with Leonardo on July 22nd, 1490. Throughout their time together, Giacomo will be referred to as either Leonardo's student or his servant. So their official relationship is a bit unclear, but that's not important. Most people just say he was a student. He is usually referred to by his nickname Salai, which means little devil.
Gian Giacomo.
I do not answer to that name.
Salai.
Better, but not good enough.
Leonardo gave him the nickname because he was just a huge troublemaker. At one point, Leonardo wrote that Salai was a thief, liar, obstinate, greedy. Throughout his... Baby, you are messing with this. Now Priscilla is being a little troublemaker. Should I call you Salai? Are you a devil? First example. The day after he moved in, Leonardo set aside some money to buy clothes for Salai, and the money disappeared. Leonardo was sure Salai took it, though of course Salai never admitted to it. This pattern continued their whole time together, although sometimes Salai did admit to stealing from him. Despite all that, Leonardo spoiled him rotten. He bought him all sorts of beautiful clothing, just capes and tunics and hose. He often recorded the prices of these, so some standouts were a pair of rose-colored hose that cost 3 ducats, which was a lot of money. They were likely trimmed with jewels. They were that expensive. As well as a cloak made of silver cloth that cost about 500 soldi. And for comparison, the average daily wage at the time was 10 soldi. And of course, he also gave Salai money for anything he wanted, pretty much. And I'm sure you're all wondering, what did he look like? Well, wonder no longer, because we have a lot of pictures. I will show you some sketches from Leonardo's notebooks. Salai had dark curly hair and sort of a weak chin and sort of soft features, as well as all the random sketches. He was most likely the model for Leonardo's St. John the Baptist. That painting has been criticized for being too sexy. Paul Borowski describes it as having a disturbingly erotic charge. He was also possibly the model for Angel of the Annunciation, which has disappeared, but we have some copies. It is very similar to St. John. And he is also Angel Incarnate, which is a sketch Leonardo owned. Leonardo probably did not draw it. It may have been Salai himself. I will provide a link to the image, but not the actual image, because it is not safe for work. But were they lovers? Yes. So the reasons people think they were. They stayed together for, like I said, almost 30 years. Salai was well in his 30s, which would have been very long for a student. Leonardo left him several paintings as well as half his vineyard. And despite all of Salai's thievery and troublemaking, Leonardo seemed more amused than angry. And like I said, bought him gifts and gave him money. And then we have the artistic evidence. Like I said, his St. John has been basically referred to as too sexy. There's the angel incarnate. And there's another doodle from Leonardo's notebooks. It shows two penises with legs walking towards a hole labeled Salai. It was in Leonardo's notebooks, but was most likely drawn by one of his students, and possibly Salai himself. So the question isn't so much were they lovers as when did they become lovers? And that is where this gets really creepy. So, when they first met, Leonardo was 38 years old and Salai was 10. Our best guess for when their relationship became sexual was when Salai was 15. This number comes from the writing of Giampaolo Lomazzo, who never actually met Leonardo or Salai due to the fact he was born after they both died. But he did interview Francesco Melzi, who was one of Leonardo's most important students and basically Leonardo's heir. So now we come to the end. In 1516, Leonardo moved from Rome to France. Along the way, they stopped in Milan, and Salai stayed in Milan. Over the next couple years, he would visit Leonardo in France, and then May 2nd, 1519, Leonardo died. In 1523, Salai married Bianca Calderodi d'Annunzio, and less than a year after that, in 1524, he died in a duel.
Who dies in a duel?
A couple fun facts that I couldn't fit anywhere else is he liked aniseed and he couldn't read. Anyway, so that's who Salai was. He was a troublemaker and one of the most important people in Leonardo's life. See ya!